Tonight, in our coverage, France's bill to ban headscarf in sports raises fears of rising Islamophobia under the guise of secularism. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Elia Batul. Canada's water-sharing agreements with the United States are facing renewed attention. This comes as U.S. President Donald Trump recently commented that a very large faucet drains water from Canada. Hydrologists warn that aging infrastructure and the impacts of climate change could strain long-standing water treaties between the two nations. They say it could potentially reignite debates over cross-border water access. Historically, Canada has resisted large-scale water-sharing proposals. In 2005, former Alberta Premier Peter Lougheed argued against selling water to the U.S., declaring it more valuable than oil. One significant but unrealized project, North American Water and Power Alliance, aimed to divert water from Alaska through Canada to the U.S. The project highlighted the persistent interest in Canada's freshwater resources. Presently, the Columbia River Treaty, which governs water use between the two countries, is under pressure for renegotiation. In Montana, broken siphons affecting the St. Mary River's flow into Alberta have caused water shortages. Repairs are delayed due to U.S. funding freezes. Alberta officials are closely monitoring the situation, with some suggesting that fresh water could become a critical investment in the future. Experts fear the U.S. may intensify its push for greater access to Canadian water, potentially disrupting a century of cross-border cooperation. The Canadian government has announced a 6-year, $3.9 billion development plan for a high-speed rail network named Alto, connecting Quebec City and Toronto. The project, unveiled by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, aims to provide a reliable and efficient transportation option. The all-electric trains will reach speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour. The route will include stops in Toronto, Peterborough, Ottawa, Montreal, Laval, Trois-Rivières, and Quebec City. It will cut travel time between Montreal and Toronto to 3 hours, half the time of driving. The project is expected to boost GDP by up to $35 billion annually and create more than 51,000 jobs during construction. The design phase will last to 4 to 5 years before construction begins. The funding will be allocated at the end of that period, allowing future governments to modify or cancel the project. A contract between Cadis and Alto, the Crown Corporation overseeing the project, will be finalized in the coming weeks to determine track locations and station placements. Transport Canada estimates the total cost of the rail link could reach $80 billion. Pat King, a key organizer of the 2022 Convoy protest in Ottawa, has received a 3-month conditional sentence. The sentencing was delivered earlier today and comes after time served was accounted for. King was convicted in November on 5 criminal charges, including mischief, counseling to commit mischief, counseling to obstruct public or peace officer, and disobeying a court order. Ontario Superior Court Justice Charles Heckland rules that King played a leading role in the protest, which disrupted Ottawa's core in January and February that year. The Crown prosecutor describes his actions as severe and sought a maximum 10-year sentence for mischief. However, the court has imposed a 12-month sentence, granting 9 months credit for time spent in jail and under restrictive bail conditions. The remaining 3 months require good behavior and court check-ins. King is the first leader of the Freedom Convoy to receive a significant sentence. Other organizers, including Tamara Lynch and Chris Barber, are awaiting trial outcomes. Hamas has proposed a large-scale prisoner swap in the second phase in exchange for a permanent truce and a full Israeli withdrawal. Hamas has also confirmed it will release 6 remaining prisoners on Saturday. Their release was delayed from the first phase. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar says talks for the next stage will begin this week. In Gaza, Israel has allowed only 6 small rubble-clearing machines into the war-torn enclave. This comes as there is a need for 500 heavy units. Palestinian officials accuse Israel of deliberately obstructing recovery efforts. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces have escalated military operations. In the Tulkarem refugee camp, they have demolished 50 homes and 280 shops. Tulkarem's Deputy Governor Faisal Salama says Israel is reshaping the camp's geography, demolishing Palestinian properties to construct new roads. In the Netherlands, 2 Israeli soldiers who fought in Gaza have fled to Amsterdam after Free Palestinian activists identified them online. An advocacy group is accusing them of their involvement in war crimes. In Lebanon, rescuers have rescued 23 bodies from villages in the south after troops partially withdrew. Palestinian Health Ministry has updated the death toll to at least 61,709 civilians since the onset of war. The new toll includes thousands of Palestinians buried under rubble, presumed dead. More than 111,000 have been injured. The French Senate has approved a bill banning religious attire, including the Muslim headscarf, in all professional and amateur sport competitions. The measure, backed by the right-leaning government, must still pass the National Assembly to become law. Supporters argue the ban upholds France's secularism laws, which already prohibit civil servants, teachers, and students from wearing visible religious attire and symbols. The Senate voted 210 to 81 in favor of barring attire that displays political or religious affiliations. Once passed, it would apply to all sport federations, leagues, and swimming pools. The bill will also ban prayers in sport facilities and require background checks for sport educators. Opposition senators and rights groups claim the legislation unfairly targets Muslim women. They say the move violates France's 1905 law protecting freedom of conscience. Amnesty International and United Nations experts have criticized the proposed ban as discriminatory against Muslim women. Anna Blues, Amnesty International's researcher on gender justice in Europe, says this extends France's controversial ban on hijabs at the Paris Olympics. Blues says it further restricts religious freedom under the guise of secularism. France is the only European country enforcing such a ban. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy insists no deal to end the war can happen without his country's participation and approval. His remarks follow U.S.-Russia talks in Saudi Arabia, which were held without Ukraine. Speaking in Turkey, Zelenskyy emphasizes that no decision should be made behind our backs. He has postponed his trip to Riyadh to March 10th to avoid any coincidences. In Riyadh, U.S. and Russian officials have agreed to form teams to work on ending the war. Washington says the discussions would address broader tensions between the two nations. Russia has hardened its stance, stating Ukraine can join the European Union, but not NATO. Moscow is demanding that NATO drop its 2008 promise that Ukraine will become a member in the future. On the battlefield, fighting continues. Russian troops are making slow advances in Donetsk, while Ukraine has seized a small portion of Russia's Kursk region. Zelenskyy urges the US, Ukraine, and Europe to be included in security talks. Meanwhile, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has offered Turkey as a host for future negotiations. The Saudi Ministry of Islamic Affairs has introduced new rules banning cameras in mosques and prohibiting the filming of imams and worshippers during prayers. The ban extends to Tarawih evening prayers in Ramadan. Saudi press agency reports live streaming or broadcasting prayers on any media platform is also forbidden. The ministry says these measures aim to preserve the sanctity of mosques and ensure a distraction-free worship environment. Imams and preachers have been urged to follow ministry guidelines and promote proper mosque etiquette among worshippers. The directives also emphasize the need for mosque officials to monitor compliance and report any violations. The ministry has also banned collecting financial donations for organizing iftar meals in mosques. If meals are arranged, they must be held in designated areas under the supervision of relevant authorities with strict adherence to health and safety regulations. The ministry says the new rules are part of broader efforts to maintain discipline and order in mosques, ensuring that places of worship remain focused on their religious purpose. The National Council of Canadian Muslims condemns the vandalizing of a synagogue in Montreal, Quebec. The group calls the act disgusting and reprehensible. It is calling for the perpetrators to be held accountable. This comes as Temple Immanuel Bet Shalom was vandalized with a Nazi swastika on the Jewish Sabbath this past weekend. Senior Rabbi Lisa Grushko condemns the incident. She is urging education on Jewish history and the Holocaust. Montreal police have launched an investigation. Security footage is being reviewed, and authorities, including Westmount Public Security and Federation Canadian Jewish Affairs, have been alerted. Despite the hateful act, Rabbi Grushko has assured the community that the temple remains a safe place. And now, as we head towards the blessed month of Ramadan 2025, we are introducing a new segment to keep you updated on the events happening in your city, called Ramadan Events Save This Date. On February 23rd, the Ramadan Revival Conference brings an unforgettable experience to the Palacio Event Center in Mississauga. The event features renowned speakers and engaging activities. One lucky attendee will get a chance to win a free trip to Umrah. You can purchase tickets on dawanet.ca. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.